My name is Nick Stahl, and today I'm going to tell you why standardized testing is screwing over kids and America. The Dr. Seuss and Jack Pulaski book, Hooray for Diffendor Day, addresses testing. All schools for miles and miles around must take a special test to see who's learning such and such, to see which school's the best. If our small school does not do well, then it will be torn down and you will have to go to school in dreary Flobbertown. Flobbertown is a school where students wear the same things, are interested in the same things, where there is no diversity and no creativity. The performance on a test is that determines that placement. That is a fictional story, obviously, but it is a reality in the United States. All of us took the SAT or the ACT for admittance to college. Everyone is taking state standardized testing in school. Growing up in Indiana, students take the ISTAT test. My mom is a teacher of 6th grade language arts, a tested area on the subject, and she feels extreme pressure for students to succeed. I, myself, was also a highly stressed test taker on the ISTAT. Accountability in the global economy. Does doing well or poorly reflect on the school or the student's ability to be productive members of the workforce? Supporters would say yes. Supporters believe that we must have accountability in school to compete in the global economy. There is a push to educate children to be competitive in the global economy. Only 1/4 of America's 52 million K-12 students are performing on par with the average student in Singapore, Hong Kong, Finland, Taiwan, or South Korea, while 25% of our high school students fail to graduate. There are 3.3 million job openings in the U.S., and many go unfilled for months on end, as roughly half of the employers now say they're having a hard time finding qualified workers to hire, especially in the technical fields. No Child Left Behind. No Child Left Behind requires states to test students in reading and mathematics annually in grades 3 to 8, and once again in grades 10 to 12. States must test students in science once in grades 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 10 to 12. In 2005, Chairman of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce, John Boehner, said, "Through No Child Left Behind, we made it a national priority to improve students' achievements and close achievement gaps that have persisted between disadvantaged students and their peers. The culture of accountability is taking root in our nation's schools, and students' achievement is on their eyes." No Child Left Behind drove state educational reform. Under No Child Left Behind, all schools are required to make adequate yearly progress, or AOIP, toward an ultimate goal of 100% of their students being proficient on the math and reading exams by the year 2014. Obviously, this has been adjusted because it is 2015 and we still do not have a 100% passing rate. Indiana developed a letter grade system to meet the requirements of the national law. The question is this: does preparation for and performance on a standardized test assure global economic competitiveness? Students may be learning math, language, and science, but they are not learning valuable skills necessary for the workplace. Critics complain that the test is an unfair method to grade schools, teachers, administrators, and students. There is a growing problem of poverty, mobility, and unstable and even non-English speaking homes in the United States. Ruby Payne, author of A Framework for Poverty, discussed how students living in poverty suffer developmental delays, drop out of school more often, and have children as teens, and do worse on standardized tests. One of my mom's students, a 6th grader who was 12, had moved and came back to her school twice this year. That specific student has been in 16 different schools since kindergarten. My mom said this is not unusual. Our community, especially, has a 45% poverty rate, and mobility is a regular occurrence. Special education accommodations are not allowed on the entire test. Students who have a learning disability, dyslexia, or even a mild or moderate mental handicap have an IEP, individualized education plan, that they, by law, must be followed, or a teacher would be held accountable. Many IEPs require that a teacher read a test to the student because of the discrepancy in ability to read or process the material read. However, all questions on standardized tests that take that test reading cannot be read by the teacher. There is an over a 30% achievement gap across the United States in the same group in both English and math. Preparation for high-stakes testing and actual testing time dominate a school's curriculum. Instruction is driven by a standardized test. Students are giving Acuity or another standardized test style predictive test 3 times a year to assess that they are where they need to be. Teachers do not do creative projects that they might have normally done because it does not help prepare for the test, and it takes time out of instruction. This year, the new I-STEP was a major controversy in Indiana. Originally constructed, it would have taken over 10 hours to complete. And that is just ridiculous. It was modified and it was brought down to just 5.5 hours. But that is still a long time for any kid to sit and take tests. Some students are required to take an exit or high-stake exams that has increased the dropout rate. Students feel that they would never pass the test, so they just drop out because they don't think that no matter what, they're not going to pass the test. Most people, even most educators, believe accountability is necessary in schools. However, the demands of state and national accountability laws are unrealistic and unfair. I-STEP results in student growth on the I-STEP factor into teacher salaries and school state funding in Indiana. Standardized testing is screwing over kids in America. The people who created standardizing tests, like the I-STEP and SCORE-IT, do not know the students the way teachers do, and certainly not the way families do. The test does not take into consideration that their mom and dad are in jail, are hooked on drugs, and do not care that their homework is assigned or that the testing is even happening. It cannot show that a student has turned in every homework assignment but started the year 2 grade levels behind in reading and math because they have attended 12 or more schools in 5 years. The test does not allow for accommodations, as class does, to ensure success. The scores that schools and students get from these types of tests will tell them something, but they will not tell them everything. There are many ways of being smart and talented. There is no way to test all of the things that make a student successful and ready for competition in global economy. To put so much emphasis on these types of high-stakes tests is a problem, and it needs to be addressed.